We know that you guys received the 500K plus another 500K. All right, that's 100 million. You say it was $100 million in debt. All right, scratch that. Again, we don't know the exact figures, how much you get from the Saudi for the 2 games, but we can formally request that, and you have to give it to us. And we can also ask for the expense for the trip, and you have to give it to us, and then we can compare and see how much money we do duly deserve, and I guarantee you it's not $1,000.
Damien, hold on one second. What's it going to get, man? Damien, I think it's a package of running.
Who is this I'm talking to? 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 Who is this I'm talking to?
Man, is Bruce Gaynor.
Who's this?
Come over this thing, man.
Who's this?
No, seriously, we're going to take some serious action because it just cannot work.
All right, here you go, Mr. President.
We just cannot sit and allow the
plan.
Make demand.
Well, leaked out the recording of pay negotiations between the hierarchy of the Jamaica Football Federation, JFF, and a representative of the senior Reggae Boyz, gone viral on social media. That was an excerpt we just played for you. The exchange involving the JFF boss, Michael Ricketts, his vice president, Bruce Gaynor, General Secretary Dalton Wynn, team manager Roy Simpson, and defender Damien Lowe, occurred before the boys were due to travel to Saudi Arabia to play 2 friendlies on November 14 and 17 last year. The exchange has brought into sharp focus the professional disposition, or lack thereof, of the leadership of the JFF in their negotiations with players. Former Reggae Boy Ricardo Fuller, the man who starred for Stoke City in the English Premier League, joins us to share his perspective on the issue. Ricardo, welcome to the SportsMax Zone.
Thanks for having me, George, Lance, guys. Good evening.
Yeah, man. You've listened to the exchange, I trust?
Yes, man. It's been fun. It's been going off crazy. Even from my Reggae Boys here, Dean Burton, Marcus Gale, Frank Sinclair. Trust me. Friends back home in the US, Canada, all over. Trust me. It's quite a shame, and it's very, very sad.
And what have those guys that you've spoken to, your ex-teammates with the national team, what have they been saying about the exchange?
Same old SHI, different generation. I've got a list of comments here if you want me. I can.
Yes, please, Ricardo, please.
I don't need to call any names, but as you know it, still teeth in the players, using players for their personal gain. That's one of the comments from a former player. Another former player, same SHI, different generation, could same for most things in society. What a disgrace, sadly, in the norm in most of the federations. How we get this resolved, basically. It's really sad and very disappointing.
Yes, let's see if we can segment some issues and segment some personalities who were on that call, Ricardo. First of all, your impression of how Damien Lowe handled himself and batted for the team he was representing.
Absolutely proud of the young man. I know his father very well. I know Damien a bit. Obviously, he's an old Camperdown student, which myself went to Camperdown as well. So I'm very proud of the young man. He's very smart, as you can see and hear from the recording. Spoke very well. He's obviously clued up and have the knowledge of what's going on and the fine details of how international football works, payments, finances, etc. The fine line in the details, he knows quite a bit about it. And he's used it very well. And most of all, what kind of impressed me is that the team actually appoint him as the to talk on their behalf, and he stood by them and they stood with each other, and that's what we didn't have during my time. Players, Ricardo Gardner, Claude Davis, Dion Burney, during our time after obviously qualifying for World Cup '98, we didn't stuck together as one voice, trying to achieve one goal, which is pay the players what they really deserve, because we're the ones who going out there. When we win games, everybody say yes, but when we lose games or we miss a chance, our emotions are shattered, our feelings are very hurt in terms of as a player. And so I'm very proud of the young man for how he stood by his group and how he delivered. And he was smart enough to record the situation, because if he didn't, we wouldn't have known. I mean, we knew persons in the team knew that this was going on for a very long time, for decades actually. And to see that he has smart enough recorded it, so that the world could see it and hear for themselves what's been going on in the federation, which is, as I say, it's so sad. And it's, and it's very, very disappointing.
All right, you've said already that what happened with Damien Lowe and the JFF hierarchy is what has happened with administrations past and players past. And you said also that one of the main differences in this situation is the fact that the players are one and speaking with one voice, and that one voice is Damien Lowe. Why is it, though, you believe, Ricardo, and I want you to go back to your experience now as a player, why is it that the JFF hierarchy believes that they can negotiate with the players as if the players are, I'm going to say it this way, are bird brains or have bird brains, not sensible, and are playing on the fact that, oh, you're my son, young man, my brethren. Why is it that the JFF doesn't negotiate with the players as equals? What is it that has caused that over time, you think?
Well, first and foremost, it's because most of the players back home, birth, right, in terms of born in Jamaica. Players like myself was born in Jamaica. For myself, Gardner, we have gone abroad to get the experience, and we know the fine details of how negotiations work, how, being together as a team, how the one voice works. A lot of the players back home, these guys from the Federation, especially the guys like, obviously, Michael Wickets, as you can hear, Bruce Gain and Dalton Winton, the next guy, what's his name?
Roy Simpson.
Roy Simpson or whatever. They live in it. They don't have the international experience, so they're trying to use their knowledge of their little soft touches of what they use in the ghettos for ghetto players, because we all know the honesty of professional football players. Most of the players are 90% of the players, 95% of the players comes from a ghetto area all across the world. Some of the greatest players are come from destitute situation. Diego Maradona, as we know it, Pele, as we know it, Ronaldo, Messi. So they try to use this kind of soft-hearted touch against the ghetto youths, if we want to call it that, to kind of get on their hearts and try to say, okay, let's play for the World Cup, because we love football. We know that. We love it. And then they try to overtime. One particular story I remember, I don't know if you remember George Lance, when Samuel Eto'o, you remember the situation when the Cameroon team, Samuel Eto'o, galvanize the team together as Damien is doing now, and they basically pretend that they are going to play this game and board in the flight, and when they reach the plane door to go in the plane, all the players, unified as one, turn back and told the Cameroonian FA that they're not boarding that plane unless they pay up everything that they're due and what they're supposed to get for this game.
Yes.
And you know that they had to find the money to play it, because that game would not go ahead, and the money that they have received for that game, they would have to return it. So they have to pay the players what they deserve.
Yes.
So you see, those kind of things is what's needed in Jamaica football. Yeah, we don't have the history so much of a Brazil, obviously not, of a Cameroon, of a, we are a third world nation. We have, corporate Jamaica tried to pull together. 98, we qualified. Why we qualified? Because we had a great leadership. We had the brains behind it. Was René Simões. He's come from Brazil. He knows how it works. He actually told Bird about certain things that he needed to do.
Yes.
In order to get the players comfortable, so that players have to worry about what they have to do when they go on the football. People must focus on performance and delivering a good performance of trying to win the game or not lose a football match. Imagine a player going on a football field, and a player has to worry about, me have to pay a light bill for 20,000. Me have to find a grocery bill for 20,000. Me have to find a water bill for 5,000, whatever. Where that money is going to come from? These players have to perform on the field and to give utmost best. Come on. Football is played with the mind 60 to 70%.
Ricardo, one of the things that jumped out at me, and Lance and I spoke about it yesterday, was the fact that it wasn't the usual fee that Damien was negotiating for based on what the players had discussed. What we got from the conversation was that, look, you're asking us to travel at I want to say the height of COVID, but we still don't know when the height of COVID is because the situation continues to evolve. But in November, many people were still scared, notwithstanding the fact that the West Indies had gone on a tour to England in a bubble. But these guys were going all the way to Saudi Arabia. You have to take more than one plane to get there. And what they were asking for, Ricardo, was give us a little bump on the usual match fee, that bump can cover the risk we are taking to ourselves and our families by going on this tour at the height of a pandemic. And that the impression that we got was that the JFF wasn't having none of this bonus, this bump proposal being made by the players. Do you think that that is a black mark, a failure, a failing of the JFF to not recognize the risk that the players were taking and look to meet them along the road where this bump up on top of the match fee is concerned?
Absolutely, George. As I said, it is so sad, it is such a shame, and it's disgraceful. Do you know that 2 decades ago, just over 20 years ago, we were getting 2,000 to 3,000 just for appearance money?
That's US dollars.
US dollars.
Yes.
You understand? And we're talking about 2020 now. In this pandemic time we're living in, the players will be traveling from wherever they come from. Holland, as you know, with the Moravian Morrissey situation, all over the country. I mean, Liam Bailey, Germany, lengths they have to travel, miles and miles, thousands of miles. And you want to tell me that after you already underpaying the players, right? And the players ask for a little bump in the times we're living in, the distance they're traveling in. And by the way, did you know that most of the players travel economy to fly all that way? Remember Robin Mice's situation?
Yes.
In the players already?
Yes.
He had to travel all the way from Holland, his team, flight after flight connection, walking through terminals, getting on a plane, and you know where he was sitting? In economy. I know where 4 of the delegations were sitting? Business class. You tell me now, guys, is that right? Are they the ones going out on the football field to play the football match? And two games at that? Yeah. So you see, from 2 decades ago, 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, we were getting 2,000 to 3,000 just for appearance for just regular games, right? US dollars, that is. And you mean to tell me that these guys now playing these games, risking their lives, risking their health and safety, right, to go and play a game, 2 games in Saudi Arabia, and they're asking for a little bit of something which they already been underpaid. You tell me if that's fair enough. That's clear as day. That's clear as day.
Yes. Hold it for us, Ricardo. Stay where you are. Ricardo Fuller, the former reggae boy, the man who was a star for Stoke City in the English Premier League, speaking with us, speaking passionately about the situation facing the current Reggae Boys following the leaked audio of pay negotiations between the JFF hierarchy and the Reggae Boys standing captain Damien Lowe. After the break, Lance has a contribution to make, and I want to ask Ricardo to look at things from the JFF's perspective for a minute and look at the resources available to the JFF and their ability to pay in these difficult times. We'll take up those issues after this break.
Back on the SportsMax Zone, we have Ricardo Fuller talking to us about this leaked discussion between Damien Lowe, the Reggae Boys captain to the Saudi Arabia friendly internationals back in November, and officials from the JFF discussing quite passionately issues of fees for the 2 internationals that they played there. Ricardo, you just referenced the 2 decades ago when the Reggae Boys were paid $2,000 US for international matches, friendly internationals or whatever. And you are clearly disturbed that 2 decades on, they're apparently fighting for that same figure. But I know even in discussion with Tyrone Marshall yesterday, because we did have him on yesterday discussing this issue, that the JFF has a long-standing record of fighting with players over what they want and what they feel they deserve, the players. From your knowledge and your association with the current players, do you think there has been a decline of efficiency in how the JFF deals with players with this administration as against previous administrations?
Absolutely. I think the inability for these guys in charge of the federation now, no disrespect, Michael Ricketts, Dalton Went, Bruce Gaynor, and the Roy Simpson guy. Personally, it's for them to have the inability to attract corporate Jamaica or sponsorship for the national program. Doesn't that says a lot?
Yeah, but to be fair,
that's your job of being a federation leader, the president, the general secretary, the manager, whatever, is working together. Those 4 guys should have been concentrating on working together in trying to find ways and being creative to attract sponsorships for the national program, especially the Man Senior team, which you know is all vital in terms of this year for the World Cup qualifiers. Yeah. And they have said it themselves that they have no sponsorships. So what does that say? Yeah,
but to be fair, with regard to the negotiations with players, this situation is nothing new. We saw where Captain Burrell had several confrontations with players and teams who threatened to withdraw their services. So this is not something new, I'm saying.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Captain Burrell had a few sponsorships at the time. And we had, during his tenure, we had monies that were probably he would have put away or he would have saved. And from the World Cup qualifier 98, you know, the country earned a lot of money. We all know that wasn't a secret. You know, he seems to be a good businessman. So maybe, as he was always saying, that he kept borrowing money from his Captain Bakery, found businesses to put into the national program, which we all know that is, we don't, you know, I don't want to say, but we know this whole situation, the corruption is rife, and that is what I'm saying. But at least then we had sponsorship, because his ability with other coaches that he has brought in, the Rennie Simoes, with their mind space and how they know football works, corporate Jamaica, the sponsorships. Remember, we had Burger King sponsoring, I think Andy Williams, we had Casey sponsoring, another player, we had Quick Cash sponsoring, Theodore Whitmore from Cayman. The ability of a president is supposed to get, find ways of creating or attracting sponsorship, and that sponsorship will be able to give players or find the part of the player wages or money the player receive for appearances comes from that. Yeah. And if there is none, and they say the federation is broke, where all the money has gone.
Yeah. Isn't it true though, Ricardo, that when there is a foreign coach in place, it is a little easier for the JFF to trigger corporate sponsorship for the national program as opposed to when a Jamaican is in charge of the team?
Well, past foreign coach has done that because I said their experience and their knowledge of the game and how it works in their country, it makes it easier for them to use their experience and attract how it works, how football work in general. Because football is not only just on the field, you know. Yeah. Football is off the field as well. You need sponsorships, you need billboards that go around the stands that says, I'm tasty. We know we get money from Tasty. We know we get money from
Digicel,
money from Starbucks.
Yes.
And these kind of things is ways of creating that. But these guys have no knowledge of doing that. So how can they attract sponsorships? And that is what these overseas coaches do. Like Rennie Simoes come, he had all of these things in place. And why he does that is because when he asks a player or the players for a performance, 9 out of 10 times he's going to get it, because the players know them out. They have nothing to worry about with football.
Yes.
That's how football works, professional level. The federation now, the guys know they're not professional. We all see that in the recording. They're not professional, not even enough. I wouldn't even put on the enough on it. They're not even professional, period. And first and foremost, why would they not even want an email, which is the norm, to be sent by the guys and to communicate? They don't want paper trail. And if people don't want paper trail, what does that tell you guys?
Yes. A few more things, Ricardo. One, on the issue of sponsorship, since we're there, what is true is that since COVID was declared a pandemic in March, there has been a huge downturn in business. So the cash crunch that the JFF is facing is real. And these boys went off to Saudi Arabia in November. I know companies who between March and say November, December, Ricardo, experienced a 40% fall off in sales. And you know very well that if companies aren't selling, then advertising spend is the first thing that gets cut and everything and the related things. So the money was tight. So from the JFF's perspective, Ricardo, do you think, notwithstanding the criticisms that you've leveled at them about their inability to get sponsorship, which is fair because that's what they exist to do, to get sponsorship and to bring revenue in, but the reality is facing them. They were trying to get these friendlies done in a difficult time when not much money was being spent. Don't you have some sympathy for the position that the JFF found itself in, where it had a very small pie, the players wanted pieces of the pie that would take the whole pie away and leave nothing to do with the other business, like pay other bills and other overheads? Are you sympathetic to the JFF on that point?
Well, first and foremost, George, Lance, we have to take it for this particular game, because if it wasn't for this recording and about this game, we wouldn't have arrived at this point.
Yes.
They get paid for this game. They're not hosting the game. So if they're not hosting the game, that means all the expenses are covered, right? The figures which the boys are asking for, or the payment which the boys are asking for, is the least that they deserve, especially in this time, since the fact that they weren't even traveling business class just because they needed the room to make sure their legs are all right, because if they want to win both games, are go to the game on full health so that they can give a great performance to win that game. Away games are difficult. We all know that, right? So this game, they got the monies for this game.
But question for you, my friend. Question for you, my friend.
There would be enough money leave, George, for them to spread it out accordingly to other areas of the federation.
I hear you on that, but let me take you here then. Okay, but what if the JFF was treating the Saudi Arabia friendlies, Ricardo, as a revenue generator, a money earner? Yes, they would pay the players something, but because they had immediate bills, this opportunity to raise revenue through the two Saudi Arabia friendlies would have allowed them to pay staff that they kept on during the pandemic, to cover other bills. And so when they looked at what they would get, the takings for the Saudi Arabia games, the bills that they had that needed immediate attention, the fact that the players had to be paid something, they carved it up and only that was there for the players. I'm asking if you think that approach was acceptable under the circumstances.
Of course it would be acceptable, George. But as I said, don't forget how much they got for that game. You remember, I think Damien Lowe was saying about 500,000. How much did they get?
Well, that's what he said. I'm not sure, but that's what he said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regardless, even if they had paid each player, 2,000 for each game, it's 22 players travel, right? You tell me, say 88,000 or something like that would have hurt the federation from paying other bills. And remember, these things have been going on for decades.
Yes.
So the reason why we arrive at this point now, and this anger and this frustration from the players and the recording has to be made to basically bring this to light, is because of the frustration over the years.
Yes.
And if the players go and lose that game, remember the players lost the first game.
Yes.
I remember the comments that a lot of people were saying, they're not good enough. They're not ready, they're not qualified. Who face it? The players.
Yes.
You understand?
And
it's doing a lot during our time.
It's a natural.
I remember me and Claude Davis.
Yes.
We qualified for the semi-final for the Gold Cup. I don't remember which period it was. We never even received our qualification, the advance money that we qualification, we get the bonus.
Yes.
We never even received it. We never even received that money. And the chef had died, and we just tell them because the chef apparently was lacking money to be buried.
Yes.
Sammy, a chef.
Remember Sammy, yes.
He was with us. He got hit down by a car or truck somewhere in Central or something like that. And we gave up that money because we knew that they weren't giving it to us, so we had to make it public that we sending the money to Mr. Samuel, to Sammy's family, and for his burial.
Yes.
Something like $10,000, $10,000 US each. We gave up for that, and these things are never been highlighted, and these things have been kept quiet because the federation would have took that money, Pop.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. And these are the frustrations that have been for years with the federation.
So Ricardo,
that's why we are right at this point now.
In your time.
And yes, we'd like this money to be paid and to help the balance the remainder of the money to spread out for wages, which we all know that it's happening here in England, all around the world, even regular company outside football.
Yes.
We know these things have to be, these things is a must, but remember the player taking a risk as well.
That is true. But Ricardo, let me ask you this.
If not care about virus, give one of their families, thank God that wasn't the case, their babies, catch the virus. It's a big risk and an ask.
Ricardo, in your time traveling for games or playing a series of games or playing a tournament here, can you recall in your career with the Reggae Boyz ever receiving payments up front?
I've been, I've played for Jamaica nearly 2 decades, right?
Exactly.
And I'm struggling.
Exactly.
Maybe once or twice, but I can tell you 3 situations clear as day when I saw and when I hear this recording and seeing it on my WhatsApp what was going on, right? We had quarreled before the game. We got being 6-0 here in England against England at Old Trafford.
Yes.
Thursday before the game, we had arguments over money. The game was Saturday. We had arguments. We woken up at 11:30 calling meeting for money situation. Friday meeting again, and we had to play a match in the afternoon. We got beaten 6-0. We went to the first game I went to. Me and Robert Scarlett, little baby back in the days, Costa Rica, Jamaica team. I was like what 19, 18, 19, something like that. And the day before the game, there was an argument again about per diem and the appearance money. We got beaten 9-0. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And Chelsea City, you remember that?
Yes.
9-0 or 9-2, whatever it want to be.
Yeah, it was 9, yeah.
It was. And in club situation now, Stoke City got beaten 7-0 or 7-1 or 7-2 against Chelsea at Chelsea. Half of the team, not less than half of the team was out of contract, and we got beaten 7-0. You understand?
Yes.
So players should not be worried about what are arguing about money the day before a game, 2 days before. That should be sorted out a long time ago.
Yeah.
Question. Writing and an email, and every time these things are happening,
yeah,
the results for the players is never a good one.
Question for you then, since you said that then. So I think it was you who mentioned it earlier, or maybe Tyrone Marshall yesterday. The bylaws of the JFF, which when Roy Simpson said that, he said that, and Roy's a guy I have a lot of time for. I like Roy, yeah? Roy said to Damien Ricardo that he's a part of management. And I said, what? And Damien said, but that's rubbish. And it is rubbish because I read everything, the Articles of Association, the bylaws, everything about the JFF. There's nothing that says a player is a part of management. So that was just tactics to sweeten him up.
The guy.
Yeah, exactly.
What he's trying to do.
Exactly.
What he's trying to do.
So in the bylaws now, Ricardo, do you believe that there should be something written in how the JFF does business to say, if you're embarking on tours, friendly international, if you're asking players to travel, do pay at least 50%, 30% of all agreed match fees. So it's not like you're going to wonder, you're going to get 30% or 50% of what in a land, so Ricardo. You know that you're going to get 50% of $1 before, but you get 50% of that before you play, so you are certain about how much you're going to get after and when you're going to get it. Do you think that to prevent these things and to prevent players from quarreling on the eve of big games and getting 6-0 and 9-0, Ricardo, that the JFF and the players should come together and insist that this thing be written into how the JFF does business so we don't have a repeat of what has happened over this past few decades with Jamaica and their players?
Absolutely, guys. You hit the nail right on the head. That should have been done time back again. And it actually did. May his soul rest in peace. So Captain Orisborough did a document like that. I remember when Digicel was the sponsor. I'll tell you the story now. And just like football, because obviously he had Phil Graham around him at the time, which was my farmer tiefing agent too at the time. And he had other influences in Winston from England here who knows about how club football works. And that's how it works in club football. For games, for winning football matches, say you get like £1,000 on your regular salary or regular wage per week or per month. So every game you play, you get like £1,000 for a win, 500 for a draw. That is rubber stamp. You sign that in the beginning of every season when you negotiate with the club, when the players negotiate with the chief executive. So you sign that, right? That's what the JFF should have. So anyway, this story now. So Captain Norrisborough, may his soul rest in peace, did a document when Digicel was a sponsor that we all had to get like $2,000 for US dollars for home matches, $3,000 for away games. That's appearance, right? That's not include bonuses, right?
Yes.
All in US dollars, right? But our image rights. So if we did some commercial with say Juicy Beef, I did a commercial with Juicy Beef, and Juicy Beef wanted to pay me $5,000 US for that commercial. It belongs to the JFF. I said no. Clark Davis said no. Damian Stewart said no. Donovan Ricketts said no. You know why we said no?
Yes. Because
we were in England. We all played in England at the time, right? And we know about personal contracts.
And image rights.
Image rights is our image rights, right?
Yes.
You know, because we said no, you know what happened to us after that game? We got kicked out the squad. I've never played for Jamaica again.
Oh, that was how your career ended.
That is how my career ended. And then they called me back when Montez come back with Theodore Whitmore, went to Antigua, and they called me and leave me on the bench. But I just come back because I love my country. If they call me, I would jump to it. You understand? I mean, I work hard here in England to achieve all that I have achieved. So playing for my country is always going to be first choice, no matter what, right? But it all depends on players have to be comfortable to play and give off good performances. I never get called back again for a long time.
So because
they needed me at the time.
Yeah.
You understand?
So because you know,
we defend our image rights.
right, so you know your rights.
Sign the documents.
You know your rights. They can't go around you, so they ostracize you because of that.
Yeah, they put us, and that's why you hear Damien in the record was saying, don't know bad blood after this. Because you remember how much stories we heard? Roger Reed back in the days tried to talk up for money, and they kick him out the national program abruptly, just like that.
Yep.
Every time a player talked about benefits of other players in terms of player getting what they deserve, in terms of financial rewards, appearance and bonuses, the federation single them out, or isolate them and kick them out of the program. And we all know that is important, especially for local players and players who want to come abroad. They need caps, and caps is important for these players to get work permits to able to play in countries, especially in Europe.
Yeah. Well,
and that is what the federation hold against these guys, and they know it's important.
Yeah.
So it's like a stick up. It's exploitation. It's just not right.
Yeah.
And it has to come to an end at some point. And I'm glad this recording come to light.
Yeah, well, Ricardo, this could be a watershed moment. Players like yourself, frustrated by the unprofessional approach to negotiations in the past, and players being taken for bird brains when there were many who could not fit that category. Proud now to see Damien Lowe standing up for himself, and I'm sure, like us, you hope that we can professionalize the thing, players and JFF on one page, one common understanding, and that we'll never have any repeat of what happened in the past. Well, what happened in November last year, in which we are now learning about. But thank you very much for your contribution, Ricardo. Your stories of the past, and the fact that you are giving public support to Damien Lowe, letting him know that we've been through it. We are happy that you are standing up, and we hope that you can change it. Yeah.
The difference is they are together.
Yeah.
They have to stick together. Just like Cameroon did. Someone entered in this group.
Yeah.
They had to pay them.
Absolutely so.
And they're gonna get 40 new players. Where are you gonna find them from?
Yes, indeed. Ricardo, take care over there in the UK. All the best to you.
George, Lance, enough respect. Stay safe, guys.
Excellent.
Yes.
Ricardo Fuller, no nonsense off the field, no nonsense. And lads, remember a Stoke City game?
Yes.
Where I don't know what was said, but it was the captain's name was Morgan. He was a bruising centre half, and he said something to Ricardo. Stoke City was playing.
Yes.
And Ricardo went into I think it was in the centre circle, confronted him.
Yes.
And held him like this.
He actually hit him. I think the captain was upset because he thought that Ricardo Fuller did something that caused the goal to be scored against them.
Yes.
I think there was...
Maybe not pressing from the front.
Yes, something. Yes. And the captain said something to Ricardo, and Ricardo was very upset and physically responded to the captain's comments. Yeah. And I think he was red carded, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
I'm picturing the incident now.
Tony Poulis was the coach of the Stoke City team.
I'm picturing the guy now. His last name was Morgan.
Yes.
I remember his first name, Sean. Anyway, as we go to break, Liverpool lost to Southampton on Monday, their latest setback in the quest to defend their English Premier League title. So, are they good enough to rebound and repeat? Send us your voice notes. We want to hear from the Liverpool fans who are so nervous right now. I don't know why the Liverpool fans are so nervous. Send us your voice notes now. We'll play them in interactive later on in the hour.